Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Skilling Up to Teach in the Virtual World. My name is Dylan Phelps. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Muncie Community Schools, and I'm your moderator for this session this morning. I'm extremely excited about our virtual conference and this particular session. First, just a few housekeeping items. Before we begin, if you have a question, do not type your question into the chat box. Please type it into the Q&A. The Q&A. We will answer some of the questions at the end of this session. Also at the end of the session, actually towards the end of the session, you'll be able to take a survey about the session, and you will do that in the chat box. So again, if you have questions, Q&A, survey, chat box. At this time, I'd like to introduce our speakers. Dr. Cara Monroe is the Provost and Senior Vice President for Student and Academic Success of Ivy Tech Community College. She is a native of Indiana, and she's very devoted to Ivy Tech. And she says, if you stick her, she will bleed Ivy Tech green. Now that's dedication. In addition to her professional interests, she is a daughter, a sister, and the proud aunt of numerous nieces and nephews. So hands up and welcome to Dr. Cara Monroe. In addition to Dr. Monroe, we have Justin Meyer. He will present this morning. Justin is the Executive Director of Educational Technology at Ivy Tech Community College. Justin, who's originally from Fort Wayne, Indiana, currently leads Ivy Tech's statewide educational technology team. In addition to his professional interests, he is a proud husband of an elementary teacher, and he also has two terrific kids, and he's an avid runner. At this time, Cara and Justin, we welcome you, and we really look forward to your presentation.
Thank you so much, Dylan. And we've gone ahead and shared our slides, so hopefully everybody is seeing those properly. And I see a few Ivy Tech folks in the audience, so it's great to have some of our Ivy Tech family here today, as well as folks from around the rest of the state of Indiana and around the country. Justin and I are going to talk to you today about skilling up in the virtual world, which we know if you're an educator, you have done a lot of that in the last 16 or so weeks. And so we want to talk to you just a little bit today, first of all, about who Ivy Tech is, because we know we have a diverse audience with us from, whoops, let's try that without everything running forward on us, a diverse audience from around the country. And so not everyone is familiar with Ivy Tech, so we'll start out with that. Indiana's community college system, for those who are either not well versed in community college, if you're from Indiana and only know Ivy Tech, or if you're from other states where you may have a local community college, Indiana is a little bit different because we have a single statewide community college system. There's one other community college or one other two-year college in the state. That's Vincennes University, which is actually the oldest public institution in the state. They serve a small part of the state in southern Indiana. But Ivy Tech has campuses around the state. We are one singly accredited institution that serves each of our communities in the state of Indiana. And as you can see there on our screen, we own that role that we are Indiana's community college. We serve as the economic engine for the state. And we take that role of serving our state very, very seriously. We empower our students to achieve their career and their transfer aspirations. I'm extremely passionate about both of those topics, and particularly around transfer, we've just launched something we call guaranteed admissions agreements with many of our public four-year institutions that allow students who complete their degree at Ivy Tech to transfer seamlessly to a four-year institution. We also embrace our vision of economic transformation by making sure that we're aligned with the workforce in the state of Indiana. So we're very plugged in and very connected to our workforce to try to make our citizens and our state a little bit better. We serve about 10,000 students, or sorry, we serve about 100,000 students annually through our more traditional college age programs in terms of on campus and online. About a third of those students are online. We also serve about 60,000 high school students through dual credit and dual enrollment every year. We have 18 campuses and more than 45 sites around the state. If you look at us from an online perspective, we are always one of the largest online providers in the country, and Justin is going to talk to you a little bit more about that.
Yeah, thanks, Cara. So as Cara said, we are one of the largest providers of online education in the country. So in the spring of 2020, Ivy Online, which is the unit that delivers the online courses for the college, offered approximately 100 different courses, and we had over 1,200 individual sections of those courses and served just around 18,000 students. For the fall 2020 term, we're expecting upwards of 32,000 student enrollments in our courses. So in order to support all of those online courses, we've got a wonderful team at our disposal with 28 educational technologists embedded in our 18 campuses, 7 and soon to be 9 instructional designers to support course development, and other staff dedicated to educational technology training and management of our learning management system. So our online certification program, on which the alternate pathway for online teacher certification is based, the alternate pathway that we're planning on offering as a part of this course is recognized by Quality Matters. And so we're super proud of that and excited about all the opportunities that we have for our faculty and staff and all of you today.
So we wanted to talk for just a minute about our approach to COVID-19 because I think it's important to help you understand the course that we're going to talk to you about today and the offering we have for you. I've got the graphic here to talk about fall 2020, but I'll talk just a little bit about where we started in the spring. As all of us did, we had to very quickly transition from a wealth of different learning methods, all of those that you see on the screen here. We had to pivot quickly and move to all online and virtual. And so we did that through sort of 2 phases. We first extended our spring break by a week and thought at that time very optimistically that we would only go virtual for 2 weeks, as I think some of us we're holding on to that hope. By the end of that spring break period, we had made the decision that we would remain virtual for the entire spring semester. We also remained virtual and online for summer. We did open our doors back up last week for a very small number of students who are completing through what we call completion academies, any incompletes or skills-based activities and assessments that they need to do for the spring and the summer. That is our predominant methodology as we look to the fall semester and we try to determine, we're all trying to read the future here. And so we are offering the 6 different learning methodologies that you see on the screen right now: traditional, what we call blended traditional, which has a higher percentage on campus, blended online, virtual, something we call learn anywhere, which a lot of institutions are calling high flex, where the student sort of gets to choose from week to week how they attend the class, whether it's online, on campus, or virtually, and then online, which we have done for many, many years. So these are each of the different methods that we're using. These are not all of them. These are just the ones that we define in policy. It would be impossible to talk about all of the different methods that our innovative faculty use to deliver instruction. But these are our approaches, and we're going to talk to you predominantly today about online and virtual. But if you have questions about any of these others, we do welcome those as well, to talk with you about those as we go into Q&A. So as we look ahead at the course that we're going to show you, we wanted to partner with Indiana Black Expo in order to provide you the opportunity to do 2 things. The first one is just simply to skill up. If you do not feel as confident as you would like to in teaching online and virtually, our team has designed that Quality Matters Recognized certification to allow you to gain skills and knowledge in teaching online and teaching virtually. And also, we are hoping that you may be interested in perhaps teaching at Ivy Tech at some point in the future. And so, as Justin will talk about in a little while, we have an optional opportunity for you to earn certification here, which is required of all of our faculty who teach online. So I'll turn it over to Justin to talk just a little bit about the course itself.
Yeah, so the course itself is organized into 7 modules that really supports the virtual instruction model that Cara talked about earlier. And you can see the table of contents here, and along with an approximate amount of time that we think that each module might take in order to complete. We're going to do a course tour here in a little while, so I'm going to not go into all of the details about the course, but then you can see down there on the 8th option is that we have an optional alternate pathway to online teacher certification. And this gives a little bit of an insight into what we do to certify our teachers and our instructors in online education, and coincides with a lot of work to plan and what it means to be teaching in an online environment. And as I go through the course, I'm going to try to highlight certain components of the course that we're super proud of. And I think that will help all of you level up in your understanding of how to structure your course, communicate in a virtual and online environment, and then really tackle what it is to teach in a virtual environment using a lot of tools that we have at our disposal.
So if you're considering completing this course, we wanted to make sure that we're upfront with you about what is involved in that. So as you could see from the previous slide, it's about 10 to 15 hours of content based on the learning activities. There's a lot of text, and there are some images, quite a few videos to make it more interactive. You could spend far more time than that if you want to. We have lots of links that go out to wonderful resources that you can use. And I see a great question from Aura about whether or not this is available for teachers outside of Indiana. It absolutely is. We are excited to partner and to demonstrate what we can do here, but to offer it to the whole country and anybody who's signed on. And then if you do want to opt into perhaps teaching at Ivy Tech, there is that optional 8th module, which requires you to complete and submit what we call an artifact that is then graded by a team of assessors throughout the course. It is it's a non-facilitated self-paced course, so there's not an instructor present. However, there is a discussion forum that will allow you to interact with others, and I'm sure Justin and I will both pop in there from time to time as well. And so you'll have that. See a couple of questions that I'll address now because I think they're relevant right here, which is how much does this cost? This is offered free, so there's no cost to you to do this. And this is actually available to anyone. So this is actually good for K-12 teachers. It's good for pre-service teachers. Anyone who's going to need to learn how to teach in a virtual environment. Yes, some of it is a little Ivy techy because if you want to do the certification, we had to leave that information in there, but we've actually expanded what we typically offer to our faculty to cover other LMS tools like Blackboard, Google Classroom, and Moodle. So we've got other resources that we've added to the course to look at each one of those. Okay, and I think, Justin, I'm going to stop sharing and let you take over to do a tour.
All right, so there are really a lot of good questions that are coming in terms of how applicable a course like this is to K-12 education, particularly the middle grades. And I think I can speak to that a little bit and just say that there's a lot of information here that I think is transferable to what all of you will doing, particularly in terms of the pedagogy, in terms of how you design a course and the things that you want to think about as you're working on a course to deliver virtual instruction to your students. We're going to talk a lot about what it means to engage your students and to monitor your students, and some tricks and tips that you have with tools in order to be able to do that. But again, most of this is very Ivy Tech specific, but I think as we've tried to point out through the course, there are lots of opportunities where we'll point out some resources for other learning management systems. And I think that you can take the concepts that we've developed in this course and apply them to what it is that you're doing in your everyday life if you're not teaching at the higher ed level, or if you're in K-12 or any other way that you've got to teach. So I was commenting to Cara earlier today. It's been a little while since we've been into this course, since we all put it together, and I'm just super proud of what we have, and I'm really excited to share with all of you a lot of the information that's in here and things I think are really going to help you. So what I wanted to start with was just kind of an overview of what the course looks like, and if you choose to participate in this, what you're going to land on when you first join the course. So if you're not familiar with Canvas, this is a typical Canvas homepage as we've set it up for Ivy Tech. And then over on the left-hand side, you've got a course navigation menu where you can navigate around the course. So on the home screen, we've got lots of information, as you've already seen, about what the course entails, and then a little bit more information about the alternate pathway that we have. And I think a key area for you is how to get support if you're struggling with the course. So as Cara alluded to earlier, there is a muddiest point discussion forum that you can see down here at the bottom of the page. And so if you've got questions, you can go in there and help each other out. And if you really get stuck or have any other questions, then certainly my email address is here. We'll be able to help you. And I know that Cara will be monitoring the muddiest point, as will I, and we'll keep an eye on it and make sure that you guys are well supported as you go through the course. So after you get to, kind of the home page, we like to organize our courses in a modular way. And this course is set up so that it's really all based on adaptive release. So as you complete one portion of the course, you're going to have an opportunity then to earn a green check mark and move on to the next section. So I'm going to show you the student view really quickly so you all can see what that looks like. So when you guys land on the course, it'll look like this. And if you click on the modules, so as you move through each module that we have, you'll see a green check mark on the side that indicates that you've completed that section of the course. And what we're really driving at is completing each one of these steps. I think we all get caught up a little bit in what a grade looks like and how have I been graded. And so we all go to the grade book. I know students tend to look at, here's the to-do list of things that I have to do in a course, and they tend to go through that. We really want you to step through this course step by step, module by module, and you can track your progress with those green check marks. So I'll leave the student view so I can demonstrate a little bit of what each module is going to be able to show you. Obviously, as a student view, I haven't completed each and every component of the course, so it'll be a little easier to show you what's going on in this way. So in module 1 of the course, where it's really all about getting started with Ivy Learn, and Ivy Learn is what we refer to our learning management as, that's our moniker. And right now we are using the Canvas learning management system. So as you go through the course, you'll see this icon here, the picture that kind of shows 2 arrows with footprints. And we'll try to identify different areas throughout the course where if you're using a different learning management system, we'll try to give some resources to you or link back to other tips and tricks that may serve you as you're not using Canvas like we are. So this is very Canvas centric. It's very Ivy Tech centric, but again, we're going to try to guide you and offer information for you as to how to use the tools that you have. So in module 1, we're really going to talk about how to navigate Canvas and really how to use your Canvas preferences and tools to be able to communicate with your students. So it's all about setting the stage of making sure that information is traveling both to you as an instructor and also to your students effectively. I'm just keeping an eye on the chat box here to see if there's any questions that I need to answer at this time. I'm going to dive into module 2 next. And module 2 is going to take you through how it is you're going to structure your course. So the learning activities that you're going to have, how do we lay that out within a learning management system so it's easy to navigate for your students and they can find those activities and step through your content really very quickly and very easily. Again, a lot of what you're going to get, and you've seen our table of context, is Ivy Tech specific. You know, we have the specific requirements that we have for our syllabus and information that we want to make sure that our faculty include in there for their students. We have a lot of information about how to obtain course content here at Ivy Tech and how they're going to build that into their courses. What will be most transferable, I think, for all of you as you work through this course is a little bit of how to use templates in Canvas Commons if you're a Canvas fan and if you're using Canvas in your institution. But most importantly is how you structure your course in an online environment and in a virtual environment. So how am I going to take all the great learning activities I have and make that into a course that my students can travel through and navigate easy. What's my module structure going to look like? Here at Ivy Tech, we organize our courses into modules like you're seeing here. So we talked a little bit about how to organize that content and lay that out, and then talk to students about how they're going to be able to see that. And on the next page is really one of my favorite pieces of this module, which is best practices for organizing your content. So at Ivy Tech, we really like to highlight all of our student success commitments. And so as you go through this, and this is something that I think is very transferable. So as we think about our success in an online environment and as a college, I think this is something that is going to transfer to any of you that are teaching in K-12, you're teaching in other institutions, in terms of, as I lay my course out and as I think about how students need to be able to travel through this, what are the most important things? And one of those is consistency, right? If we have a well-organized and well-laid-out course, that's going to help our students be able to develop, disciplined study habits. They know what to expect as they travel through that course from one module to a next, and what they're going to have to be able to see. And then as you lay out that information, we have some really good information about how you scaffold. So what do I need to be able to do as an instructor versus the learning activities that I have planned? And then ultimately back to communication and how I'm going to guide my students through that. Because as you think about an online course or a virtual course now, we're guiding our students through our content because we may not be with them as much as we would in a face-to-face environment. And so I think we've got some really good resources here in terms of how you lay that out and what you think about as an instructor. I'll take a moment and pause and see if there's any questions on this content or anything that we need to answer, and then we'll continue on with the tour.
I'm trying to monitor for you, Justin. I don't see anything specific so far, so I think you're good.
Yeah, good. I didn't either. I just like to give a pause in case something comes up for folks. So I'm going to go ahead and go back now to module number 3. And as you can see, as you go through each one of these modules, in order to move on to the next, we're going to have various types of quick checks and little quizzes that we can use to make sure that you have an opportunity to reflect on what you're learning and make sure that you're gauging your understanding of the content prior to moving on to the next section. Module number 3 is going to focus on communication. So how do I communicate virtually and what tools do I have to do that? And at Ivy Tech, we use Zoom. Many of you in other institutions may use Google Hangouts. You might use GoToMeeting. There are lots of different ways that, that different institutions have tackled the challenge of communicating in a virtual environment during COVID. And so as we look at that with Zoom, we have a very long page here with a lot of resources specific to teaching virtually with Zoom, whether it's recording a meeting. So if your students can't be with you at that point in time, how do you make that accessible to them with Zoom? How do I share my screen? What are some other tricks that I can do? Number 3 here, I'm a total tech geek. So I've got an iPad, I've got an iPhone, and former biology teacher. So I like to write when I teach, and I'm a little bit more demonstrative. So Zoom has really great opportunities for devices to be able to hook up to that. And, I've got an Apple Pen, so I can write on my tablet. I've seen some very creative things come from our faculty in terms of setting up a stand with an iPhone on top of it, with a piece of paper underneath it, and use Zoom so that they can work out math problems, for instance. So I think the sky's the limit with your creativity, but this gives you an idea of the tools that are, may be at your disposal already that you didn't even know about, that you can use to be able to kind of try to teach in somewhat of a normal fashion. All the way down to breakout rooms, how you can actually take control of the screen through Zoom. So this is a very robust set of tools that we have with Zoom that we can use. And I think a lot of different video conferencing software have very similar features that you have that you can use to be able to teach. I was in a session that I was doing with our team yesterday, and oddly enough, for the first time, I experienced breakout rooms with Zoom, and it was oddly refreshing to be able to do that. And it was almost, and all of a sudden we're having a really good conversation in a small group. And before I knew it, our facilitator just popped into our room and said hello. So it's much like that feeling of when you're teaching in a classroom and all of a sudden the teacher's just wandering around the classroom, kind of checking in on the conversations that are happening with small groups. So that was something that was fun to experience, and certainly something that's very easy to do virtually with your students when you can't all be together at the same time. So I'm particularly proud of all of the resources that we have here, and there are just a host of other resources. If you use Google Hangouts, they've got all kinds of help guides that can help you to be able to navigate that world of using those video conferencing tools. The rest of Module 3, and I'm going to go back to our objectives page, really then talks about any learning management system that you have, or if you're teaching virtual, any system you have, how am I going to use the calendar to be able to communicate with my students? What does the gradebook do for me as a communicative tool as an instructor to be able to really help my students through the content that we've got for them? So really good information here, and I think different ways to think about those tools as opposed to just displaying grades for a student. What can I do to help communicate with them? Module 4. As I looked at this again last night and this morning, Module 4 is really where we get into some really good information about how it is that we assess our students, right? I think we've got some instructional designers on our team that helped us with this, and are terribly passionate about formative assessment. So as you think about what you have to do virtually as opposed to what you might do in the classroom, it's a lot of formative assessment. It's a lot of checking in on what my students know, and how do I use a learning management to be able to do that? And so I think we've got some really good information on there, from what does an assignment allow me to do? What is a quiz feature able to do for me as an instructor? And I think as you actually take this course, you'll get a lot of, you'll get a really good feel for that, right? We use quizzes in Canvas more as a knowledge check and as a reflective assignment. And I think that we can do that here as well. And something that I think is terribly helpful for all of us is a really good section on what an effective rubric looks like. So I'm really, really happy to see this. And I think as we put this together, I learned a little bit more about appropriate use of a rubric, how we write a really good rubric, and not only how we are able to use that rubric to gather data on our students, but also to give them really good feedback on what they're doing, and I think do that efficiently. So this is a really great piece of this course, and I think that's something that's not only going to transfer to what you might do virtually or online, but I think also what you would do with designing rubrics for face-to-face classroom when all of this is over. So a lot of really good information here, I think, that's going to be very helpful for you as you go forward.
Justin, there's one question in the chat.
Yeah.
And I think I know the answer, but as you were talking about Zoom, do you know if WebEx also has breakout rooms? I think it's yes, but I'm not positive.
I can't say for sure, so I will go back and say I don't know the answer to that question, but I would imagine that a platform like that would, but I think it's definitely something that in their help guides that you can probably investigate and find out. And if I remember to do it, I will make a note and I will find that out and maybe throw a note in one of the announcements within the course. So if you're taking the course, stay tuned for a definite answer on that. We'll find that for you. It's a great question. And I don't recall that Google Hangouts has an option for that. But
yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to Module 5. And again, I get really excited about this because as I think about what it means to be a good online instructor and a good virtual instructor, it's how do I really take what we're doing, right? And how can I take what I do so well in a virtual environment, or sorry, in a face-to-face environment, and take that into, and take that into a virtual environment. So that piece in Module 5 is all about active learning and engagement, and what we can do to engage our learners at a distance. So I think this is really good. Page 5.1 is a really good overview to what that means in an online and virtual environment. I think we've got some really good resources that we link to from the Center for Teaching and Learning at the University of Cal Berkeley, and then some other research summary of active learning. So we've got some resources embedded here that I think can be very, very useful for you. And I think, just some, really quick visual aids here in terms of what it means to be working. So how am I delivering my information? How am I actually getting my students to do something with that information as opposed to just hearing me talk about it or reading it somewhere or watching a PowerPoint? So I think it's a really good opportunity for all of you, again, not only to think about what you do virtually, but also what you'll do face-to-face when you get back post-COVID. I'm going to kind of fast forward a little bit. Oh, I cannot overlook Module 6 because this is something, and I will sheepishly say, when I first came to Ivy Tech, and I've been at Ivy Tech now just going on 7 months, coming from K-12 education and independent schools within K-12 here in Indiana, I will say that I did not do a wonderful job of thinking about how accessible the content I had was for my students. And I think as we really try to meet the needs of our students, I think we've got a diverse student population here at Ivy Tech. And I think that a lot of you will face a diverse student population with lots of different needs in a virtual world. And I don't know, I sit here and I think about Module 6, and this is really powerful, I think, when it comes to meeting the needs of our students. And in 7 months, I've learned more about accessibility than I did in the 15 years that I was a classroom teacher. So it's something that I think is very beneficial for all of you. And so as I would highlight something, we think about page 6.1, which kind of talks about what is accessibility. Why is accessibility important for you in an online and virtual environment? And so I think it just kind of gets your mind set in the right place with all of the different learning styles that your students might have and what you may need to think about as you're trying to design content for them that's going to meet their needs. So it's really, really good. And so here at the higher ed level, accessibility is something that's required by law. So we have to do it. And it's something that we have to be able to do well. So we've invested pretty heavily in some tools to be able to help our instructors identify content that is not accessible. We've gone to great lengths to try to make sure that our online, our statewide course library is accessible and that our faculty and staff understand what that accessibility is. So a really good resource here to be able to help you with that. And I think the next page here on 6.2 is another one that I love in terms of how this is such a deep topic. I think we could do a whole course just on accessibility. And I think that this gives all of us 3 really quick and easy things that we can do to make that content accessible for our learners. So, and again, we've got a really good example video here from one of our instructional designers in terms of how to be able to do this. So just, again, try to keep it simple and just actionable items that you have that we can give you to get started right away to tackle some of these issues that we have to be able to face. Now I can fast forward a little bit. Module 7 is good. I really like it, and I'm terribly biased about module number 7, quite possibly because I had a hand in writing that one. But it is very Ivy Tech specific in terms of what we need to be able to do to measure and track our student success measures and make sure that we're reporting that effectively for our faculty and staff and keeping track of our students. So one of the things we have to do is monitor, and this is very specific to how we have to do that. So I will not belabor the point on module 7. There are some really nice tools in here, I will say, that if you do use Canvas in terms of how you can use the attendance feature to be able to do roll call attendance and do some other things to be able to help you keep track of what's going on in your classes. So there's some good information here that's transferable. But I want to dive into module 8, which is our alternate pathway, and talk to you a little bit about what that looks like. And Cara, you can let me know if I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat as well, but
You're doing fine. I'm watching.
All right, good deal. I've got it out of the corner of my eye over here as well. Module 8, our online teaching certification alternate pathway. If you choose this option, this is going to be an exercise that's going to take you a little bit more time and really start to take everything that you've learned in this virtual instruction course and then really put a fine point on how do I do this in an online only environment. Because keep in mind, virtual instruction has a lot of synchronicity to it, right? We're going to use Zoom. We're going to be with our students at the same place, at the same time, just like we would almost in a virtual classroom. We have a set meeting time. In an online only environment, those opportunities become optional. Students do not have to be able to meet at that set point in time, which is a real advantage to students. If you've taken online instruction, you know how that advantage plays in. But there are some things that we have to approach slightly differently as we plan out and think about what it means to teach online only and really teach predominantly asynchronously when I'm not with my students at the same time. So what we've done in this in the alternate pathway is we're really going to focus on our student success commitments. So what do I need to do as a faculty member to meet student success commitments here at Ivy Tech? And what we've done is we've taken what we think is a really well-developed module from one of our statewide online courses. And you're going to go through and take a look at that and identify very specifically in an artifact that you're going to create, how am I going to have effective communication? How am I going to have effective feedback in my course? How am I going to be able to personalize that course? And so there's a couple of layers to personalization versus what we can do here at Ivy Tech. And then what I'm very passionate about is I look at what I like to call humanizing online education, right? So how do I add that depth of feeling, that warmth, and those things that teachers, I think, do really, really well across all levels, which is really support your students. And you're going to spend a lot of time in looking at a course, identifying learning activities, and then talking about each one of those components and really mapping out for a single module of a course how you're going to accomplish all of those tasks. And then based on that, we're going to have a team of assessors that will come in and grade that artifact and give you some feedback on your plan of attack for that. And then if all goes well, and I have no doubt that it will, then when that is graded, then you'd be able to take the next step into the wonderful world of online teaching with us here at Ivy Tech. So I will not lie, module 8 is a little bit of work, but I think it's really powerful work and really good work. And again, I'm always on the line of what's transferable to your practice, both in what you're currently doing, and then ultimately if you would teach here with us at Ivy Tech. So, and what happens with this piece is once you complete this artifact and you get into our next course, if you were, assigned an online course, is you would then build out that same type of artifact for every module in the course that you're teaching. So how am I going to use the gradebook to communicate with my students? I've got a particularly tough topic that I have to be able to teach my students. What am I going to do to offer some additional additional context and additional conversation about that? So it's very intentional about what you're going to do as you plan to teach online. So it's a really good course. It's a really good opportunity, I think, for all of you, and I'm excited to be able to share that with you today, and I really hope a lot of you take that opportunity as we build a really wide-ranging and I hope diverse pool of potential teachers for us, both of background, experience, and otherwise. So that is our virtual course, and it's a little bit of a long-winded overview, but there's a lot of really good content there, I think, for you.
So Justin, I'll take the screen back now, if you don't mind, and we'll answer one of the most popular questions, which is how do I sign up? Which is exactly what we wanted to see. And the power of community, because Justin, you're going to handle this one, so I'll give you a second to get oriented here to where we are. The power of the community in our Q&A, we already have a lot of folks who have told us, yes, you can do breakout rooms in WebEx, so thank you to all of you who have shared links there. It does sound like from some of you who have some practical experience with that, though, that it may not work as well as what you might like. I think we can save the Q&A if I remember that. So we'll try to put some of the links that some of you have put here in the course so that you've got references to those. So Justin, take it away with the next slide.
Yeah, so I would love it. I'm a process person. I would absolutely love it if we can make the enrollment process seamless as possible for all of you. And we can do that very easily for those of you who already have a connection to Ivy Tech. So if you're a current Ivy Tech employee, if you're a past or present student, we can make this super easy for you. We've got a link here to a form that you can fill out in order to be able to enroll in our course. If you are a current Ivy Tech employee, the form will ask you that. It will ask you if you're a student or an employee. If you are, you're going to be prompted then to enter your Ivy Tech email address. So if you enter your Ivy Tech email address correctly, you'll automatically be enrolled in the course. So that process is instantaneous, and I've hedged our bets. Instead you have 1 to 2 business days, but testing this morning, it worked perfectly. And it should automatically enroll you in that course, which would then become available to you on the first day that the course is open. If you are not an Ivy Tech, current Ivy Tech employee or student, the process gets a little bit more convoluted for you. We will take the information that you submit to us on the form, and we will send you a form via DocuSign that you will fill out, and we'll get you a guest account created within our system, and then we will manually enroll you in the course. And what we will do is make our absolute best effort to communicate with you to both your preferred email address that you submit on that form, and to try to stay away from communicating with you via the guest Ivy Tech account that you will get. But that process will take a little bit of time. As you can see here, each step should take 1 to 2 business days as we get all that done for you so that you can participate effectively.
And Justin, can you grab the link and toss it in the chat, please? I'm having
Absolutely.
I'm having a little more difficulty with that than I should be right now.
No, that's fine. I will grab it here in just a second. So I have to do that in the Q&A, don't I?
Well, that could be, yeah. I think you have to type the answer to one of those questions.
There we go.
I think it goes, yeah.
All right, I will pick up one and I will answer that question so you all can see that.
Okay, awesome. So then as we look at the timeline, you can begin the course as soon as your registration is processed. And then if you believe you want to complete that alternate certification, you'll need to just give us your interest in that. You don't have to complete it yet, but give us your interest that you'd like to do that by Monday, July 27th. The deadline for completing all the course activities is 5 p.m. Eastern on September 14th, 2020. And this is actually a demonstration of one of the tips that we'll share with you in the course. I know several folks were asking about some of the more practical things. And one of the most important things is to remember that at a distance, you've got to be extra specific. So we always specify specific time zone, and the date. Again, the course is self-paced and non-facilitated. We've had a lot of questions about who can take it. So it is free and it is open to anyone who wishes to take it and believes that they could benefit from it. So whether you have a master's degree or not does not matter. Whether you are a certified licensed teacher at this time does not matter. If you teach for another institution, if you teach out of state, in another country, you are welcome and encouraged to complete this course. We'd love to learn from you. You're going to share things with us that will allow us to make future iterations of the course even better. So that's one of the reasons that we love the opportunity to partner with IBE on this. It is self-paced and not facilitated, but again, Justin and I will be hanging out in the Muddiest Point discussion forum. Each module does end with a knowledge check quiz, and that is what successfully completing the quiz unlocks the next module. So you do have to go in sequence. The module check quizzes are, they're not simple, but I think if you have experience, there were a couple of questions about, well, if I already have experience with this, can I unlock the material? You probably could pretty easily. I did in testing. I was going to try to intentionally fail the quiz so that I could show you in one of our backup screenshots what that looked like. I didn't have to try. I did not quite get my 9 points the first time through. So, you might have to take it twice, but you can do that. So that's not a problem. When you successfully complete the course, and this is an important, very important fact, you will receive a certificate that you can print, so you'll get it by email, and then you should keep that for your records. And our certification at present time does not have a time limit on it, but most likely as we continue to evolve Ivy Online, a time limit may be placed on it, so we encourage you to keep that certificate for your records. And then we'll just wrap up with a couple of opportunities and benefits before we open up to all of your questions. So we think that some of the benefits you'll receive from this is just gaining confidence with new skills for teaching virtually and online. I saw several questions in the chat about, we don't know what our plan for fall is yet. And so that means you've got to be flexible. You've got to be ready to engage in a lot of different ways really fast. And that is hard. And we're all a little exhausted from doing that all semester. So this may be a way for you to connect with other people too, in order to sort of keep that conversation going. Then you'll be eligible for 2 years to be assigned an online class at Ivy Tech. Just a little bit about us. To teach at Ivy Tech, you typically require a master's degree. It does depend on discipline, and it also depends a bit on, it depends on discipline. I'm not sure where I was going with the rest of that, sorry. But you will need a master's degree to teach with us in most disciplines. We do offer courses in both 16 and 8-week formats. So we offer 2 different lengths of courses, a few 4s and a few 12s as well, but mostly 16 and 8. And if you are assigned a course, there is one additional certification step, which is to complete our facilitated mentoring, IVYC 112, during your first semester of teaching. So again, this is not a guarantee that you would be offered a section, but it is a step in the process. If you ever want to teach at Ivy Tech and you want to teach online, this is a required step in the process to do that, and you would already have that out of the way if you wanted to teach with us. One of the last benefits that we want to talk to you is, as COVID started, Ivy Tech began a relationship with LinkedIn Learning. So we have access to the entire LinkedIn Learning library for all of our students, faculty, and staff. And as a part of participating in this course from now through September, you will have the opportunity to log in with your Ivy Tech email address and use that entire LinkedIn Learning library. So while there may not be resources, you may not find the course interesting, and that's okay with us, we understand that. That LinkedIn library has an incredible amount of material on using different online tools, on using Word, Excel, PowerPoint. It also has courses on mindfulness and on fitness and on all sorts of other topics. So that is an incredible benefit that you can subscribe to, you can use for those 2 months while you have access to the course. So that in and of itself is a huge value. If you typically pay for that on your own, it's about $25 a month. So it's sort of a $50 little added value that you would get if you wanted to take advantage of that. Don't have to, it's just an extra relationship for you. So with that, I think, Dylan, we are ready for questions, unless Justin, did I forget anything?
No, I think you covered everything wonderfully well.
Okay. Dylan, you're ready.
We have quite a few people. I just want to make certain that Brooke and Kim and Shelley and Jay Berry and Mary got their questions answered when it comes to, there's a lot of people excited about this course and want to sign up for this course. I'm also still seeing some people say they don't see the link in the chat box. So just make certain that we put that in there and go to the chat box, you guys, in order to get that link. But they're also asking, okay, what if I want to talk to a live person to get some questions answered about the course? Who should I call? What department? Those kinds of things.
So the course doesn't have a live person associated with it in terms of being able to offer a call. But we do have, and again, I think we demonstrated that even during this session, the power of community. And that is a really important power in an online course as well. If you're teaching online, one of the skills your students have to learn is to help themselves and to help each other. And so that community would be able to try to take care and answer those questions. But unfortunately, we're not able, just because of the volume of folks that will take this course, we're not able to offer live sessions with folks.
Okay. Also, Linda has asked, can you receive PGP points for this course, and how long? Several people have asked, how long is this course?
So Ivy Tech does not offer PGP points for it. It's a real, I saw the question come through. It's a really great question. And I need to look into what the process is for doing that here in Indiana. I wish we could, but it is a, Justin, we estimate it takes about 10 to 15 hours to do the course.
That's correct.
So you have 8 weeks to do that work in, but it's about a 10 to 15-hour course.
Okay.
And some depending on your familiarity, some pieces will move a little bit more quickly than others.
Okay. There are also several people who said, you know, they sub in a corporation, they have a sub license, but they don't have a teaching certification. How does this course, are they able to take this course, or what are the requirements?
Justin, you want to take that?
Yeah, so if you're not currently certified to teach, I would say you could certainly still take this course. I don't want to ever discourage anybody from learning more about how to teach. It certainly would help you in that preparation. But in terms of being able to then come teach for us, unless you're credentialed to teach and what we're able to do here at the college, you would not necessarily be able to teach for us, but it certainly would help you as you would then kind of gauge whether or not this is something that you might want to do or pursue some additional certification or programs. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say that Ivy Tech's got education courses and opportunities to help you with that as well. So certainly if you take this and think that that's something that you'd like to do, we can find ways to help you with that as well.
That's good. Jennifer has asked, is this course offered multiple times a year?
So we do offer it at Ivy Tech. We are going to offer it again. This course grew out of COVID, so we had never done it before. We developed it as in response to that, and we don't plan to offer it on a regular basis, like on a schedule. For this partnership, it will only be available this one time. How we use it inside Ivy Tech, we're still trying to figure out.
Okay. How many people have completed the certification already?
Oh my. Let's see. In the first iteration of this course that we put out for Ivy Tech faculty, I want to say we had over, oh my goodness. My numbers are escaping me. I think we were in the 800s that completed the course. And that was modules 1 through 7. We had right around 350 that took advantage of our alternate pathway. And there was a question I saw that came through in the chat box about what it really means, what that alternate pathway means. We have a very set process at Ivy Tech for what it means to become online certified and a series of courses that you have to take. Policy also affords us the opportunity for an alternate pathway. And this is one that we developed to kind of expedite that process a little bit in the COVID time and offer a little bit of incentive for our faculty to participate in the course. Turns out that incentive was not necessary. We had a lot of interest in the course, as a lot of our faculty and all of you are showing as well that you're very interested in scaling up in this area.
Okay. What programs does Ivy Tech offer online? That's a loaded question. So probably a lot of answers.
We offer 16 programs fully online. If you want to learn those, I will not recite all 16, but I'll put a message here in the chat. You can go to ivytech.edu/online to see a list of those. I'll put that down here. There you go. So we welcome you to check that out.
Okay. I'm seeing people ask, where is the link again? So I just want to make certain that was put in the chat box.
I think I see it. I'll add it again.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
And let's see, ask, could I have the name of the course again?
It's just the virtual instructor certification course. Now if you go, and I think this is an important distinction. If you go to Ivy Tech's website and you try to register for this course as a student, first of all, we would try to charge you because we do charge other folks. You want to register through that link that Justin gave you and that I just put in the chat again, so that it's free to you. And you won't actually find this course on our website because this is an internal training course. It's not actually a course that we offer for credit. Many of you have asked about that, and it is a wonderful idea, and Justin and I probably need to pursue that at some point, but we have not done that yet as we continue to adapt to this new world that we all live in.
Okay, and then someone has asked, how many opportunities do you have to complete Module 8 satisfactorily? Can you redo information to make it acceptable if not done the first time around?
That is a really good question, and I can say emphatically yes. We would, what we've done with our instructors in the first iteration, we would do that here is if we give you some feedback and the artifact does not meet expectation, we will give you some feedback and at least one opportunity to resubmit that work to complete that assignment.
Okay, let me go back to Maureen, because Maureen is asking, can you give us an idea of what the mentoring third part of the online certification looks like to a candidate who is pursuing, let me scroll down, for a candidate who's pursuing an advanced degree.
So I can speak to what the mentoring course looks like. So if you are teaching your course, the mentoring process is going to pair you with one of our education technology staff members who has taught online before and is a seasoned veteran. And is going to really help guide you through teaching online for Ivy Tech the first time. So have you set up your course the right way? Do you have the right components in your syllabus? Just kind of to check in with you step by step, make sure that the artifact that you did an example for in this course, you've now transferred that and you're starting to make that same type of artifact and communication plan for your online course, and get just somebody that you can lean on and work with and is going to support you in your teaching online for the first time, and then make sure that you're doing that in an effective manner. So it's really more of a supportive course, I think, to say, and it's not anything that's overly taxing to be able to complete.
Okay, and then Kim also added, Kim Hilton, I teach the mentoring piece and instructors have guidance as they complete the various tasks throughout the semester. That's great information to know.
Hi, Kim.
Then Cara asked if you want to do number 1 through 7 right now, could you add number 8 later?
So you could, Justin, jump in here if I say this wrong. You could do 1 through 7 now. What you wouldn't get is the benefit of certification. So if you have a master's degree and you apply to teach at Ivy Tech, you could still come in, potentially be hired. You would still have to complete our certification course though, in order to teach online, as well as then the mentoring component as well.
Okay, I know you answered this, but answer it again because it's coming up again. Can you go through the course if you live in a different state?
Yes, yeah.
We have several adjunct instructors that teach for us from out of state, so absolutely, yes, if you meet our credentials and would like to teach for us, absolutely. The deeper the pool we have, the better.
Absolutely. And thank you to Cara Schaefer. She says it was simple. It took 2 minutes to enroll.
Yay.
So,
Justin's a wizard. He creates amazing tools to let us do magical things like that.
okay. Yeah. Lee asked if I'm already teaching online or have been certified to teach online, would taking the Ivy Tech online certification program be beneficial to me?
It would let you teach for us. That would be the benefit. We're incredibly proud of the course, so we do think there's a lot of great information in it, and I always think you can learn something from any learning experience. But other benefits, I can't think of any others. Can you?
Okay. Well, here's a question that's very dear to my heart, seeing I'm a senior citizen. Anonymous writes, is it true that citizens over 60 can enroll in Ivy Tech courses for free?
So Ivy Tech does have a program called Senior Scholars. I am not positive of the age, if it's 60 or if it's a little bit older than that. But yes, we do offer tuition-free courses to Hoosiers who are over a certain age requirement. And you can take your courses at no cost. There is you do have to pay textbooks, and I think you have to pay for fees. If you go on our website, ivytech.edu, at the very top of the screen, there's a search bar. If you type in Senior Scholars, you should be able to find a link and learn more about that program.
That's great information to know. One of my colleagues, Betsy Fitzgerald, asked, what if you teach dual credit, if you're a dual credit teacher?
Justin, do you want to take that?
Yeah, so if you're a dual credit teacher, this certainly will help you. In the first iteration of this, we did offer it to support our dual credit instructors, because not only will that help them in what they're doing within their own school, it certainly would help them to better understand how to teach virtually and potentially then be able to do additional work for the college. So it's definitely open to dual credit instructors. If you're a current dual credit instructor, you should have an Ivy Tech email address. And in that situation, if you fill out this form, I would click yes, that you have an Ivy Tech connection because you have an Ivy Tech email address. Enter that and you should automatically be enrolled. And if it's not, then we'll take care of you if that doesn't automatically happen.
Okay, and I have Julie, who said she's tried the link and for some reason it doesn't work. Can you put it out there again? So we want everybody to be able to access that who wants to. So it's not a problem for us to put that out again. And we also have someone who said that they taught at Ivy Tech in the 80s, but heard that you have to have a master's in order to teach now. Can you expand on that?
Yes, so it is, and Kim and a couple of other folks said it is 60 and up for senior scholars. Thank you all. See, wonderful community in the online world. And now I forgot the question because I was looking for it. Say that again, Dylan, I'm sorry.
Someone who taught at Ivy Tech in the 80s.
Yep.
Masters.
Okay. So yes, in almost all disciplines, you do have to have a master's degree. Some of our more technical disciplines like welding, some of our IT areas, some of those things, a master's degree might not be required if you have years of experience and a bachelor's degree. If we can put in an announcement in the course, a link to our credentialing requirements. I'll make a note to do that so that you can look those up if you want to know. It's a 72-page document, so it's not light reading, but you can just scroll to sort of your discipline or area of interest. You don't have to read the whole thing. So,
okay. Nick asked, will information be sent to my Ivy Tech email account to confirm registration? And if that account is inactive, does it have to be activated?
It's a really good question to which I don't know all of the answers to. See, I've gotten really good at saying what I don't know these days. I can tell you this much. If you entered your Ivy Tech email address and it is active and is in our system, you should get an email relatively quickly that you've been enrolled in that course. So you will get notified of that. If you enter that email address and you don't get that relatively instantaneously, then it's probably not activated. And I'll be monitoring that. So if that automated process fails, I will pick up the slack and we'll pick up the process for getting you a guest account and making sure that everything's ready to go. So we'll take care of you.
Okay. Lisa has a comment that this is very beneficial, saying that many schools will be conducted virtually upon a reopening or a combination. This will be helpful. So thank you so much, Lisa, for that comment. Got a thumbs up from Kim about the senior scholars. Yay, me too. Okay, we're gonna ask maybe a couple of more and then I'm gonna give you guys instructions on the completing the survey. Let's see, I'm trying to find one where several people have asked. Someone is asking, and this is the third time I'm seeing this, how do we get on Link Indiana or LinkedIn Learning? LinkedIn Learning.
Sure. So LinkedIn Learning will be available from inside the course, so you will have to complete the registration process. And it should be for most folks a menu button on the left-hand side. But as Justin and I were doing a little testing of it, we will probably also put a link just in an announcement as well so that you can have that. So complete your registration and then access the course through Canvas or Ivy Learn, and you'll see that link there.
Okay. All right. Justin, I think you answered this, but it's come up again about paras. You do support staff, maybe instructional aides. Can they take this course?
Yeah, I think as I've said before, I would welcome anybody to take this course that wants additional information on how to teach in a virtual instructional environment. For those of you who have to support the regular classroom teachers, I think this is a great opportunity for you as well. And then, like I've said, if you take it and, that gives you a bug to, further your education in that area, then, we're going to be here to support you in that endeavor as well. So yes, please come and experience that.
Okay, sounds great. Kathy has asked, is this course open to international educators as well?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. Well, it's been a lot of wonderful questions. This audience has been outstanding. And so I just wanted to give you, Justin, and Cara, just any last words that you would like to say before we say thank you?
None for me.
Okay, none for
I'm
you.
good.
Okay.
Thank you for everybody for attending, and we hope to see you in the course. Please take
Absolutely.
advantage of the opportunity.
Okay. Thank you, Cara. Thank you, Justin. You did an outstanding job. So I'm going to go into what happens next. Really remember to fill out the survey, which is in the chat box, because, let me block out the questions so maybe I can be seen. There you go. Because we really want your feedback so we can plan the 14th annual Indiana University Education Conference. So take this time to complete the survey. It's also the only way that you're going to be able to get PGPs and CEs, because the survey, we have your name and address and etc. So again, thank you guys. Thanks to everyone. It's just been an awesome time. We were able to have about 5,000 people to participate in our conference, as opposed to about 600 or 700. And so it's been a great experience for all of us so far. To everyone, have a great rest of the day and have a great rest of the 13th annual virtual Indiana University Education Conference. And you are groundbreaking, all of you participants, because this is the first time we've had the conference virtually. Everybody have a great day. Thank you so much.